Welcome everyone to the next edition of the Collaborative Circle, hosted by the Long Island Collaborative Divorce Professionals. My name is Jackie Caputo and I am a collaborative attorney with the LICDP. And joining me today are my colleagues and friends, Concetta Spirio, also a collaborative attorney, and Elise Parisi, a family support specialist in the collaborative process. Our topic today is parenting time over the holidays and the collaborative process, how that can help families to navigate what can sometimes be a difficult situation. As the old song goes, we all know that this is supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year. But I think if most people were being honest, they would say that this is the most stressful time of the year. And especially for families that are in the midst of a divorce. This can be a very difficult time. So today we're going to discuss how the collaborative process can help families to navigate that. And I'm going to turn first to Concetta for her perspective as both a collaborative divorce attorney and a litigator. Concetta, I was wondering if you could enlighten us a bit on how those processes differ when it comes to the parenting time schedule during the holidays.
Sure, Jackie. Thank you so much for moderating and for us being here. It's great to see you both. You know, people think that the court system is there for them and that justice is always going to be served. The reality is people have very little control over what happens in court. They think that they do, and they think that all they need to do is get their story in front of a judge. But the reality is they never get to talk to the judge unless they're under oath at a trial, and that's at the end of the process, which you will spend, could be hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time you get to that point. So you don't have control of that. And to be quite blunt, the court really does not care to get involved in the nitty-gritty of what you're doing with your children, unless there's a problem that affects the children, like there's abuse or something like that. Then of course the court wants to know all about it and is going to step in. But the last thing that you want to do, you know, life is stressful enough, and as you said, the holidays are stressful enough. Adding the layer of being in court is stressful. And just by the fact that you're in that zone, so to speak, you're under the umbrella of an adversarial situation. So that in itself breeds or is inherent to be contested or contentious. It's very rare that you find anybody in the court system that has a pleasant divorce, okay? As opposed to the collaborative model where you have options to be creative, to serve the family, because that's what we're all about and how they want to go forward. And the court's not interested in getting involved in creative solutions for families. That's work for them that they don't have to be involved in. And unless you happen to have attorneys that are settlement-minded or holistic-minded or are interested in caring about this family, that's not on their agenda either. It only becomes a problem and of interest to the attorneys is when the parties are fighting over it. And that's the last place you want to be. You don't want your kids experiencing the holidays that way, and you want to preserve whatever family traditions you have. And the other thing I want to throw out there is many people don't think of it this way, but if you think of life, we're all adults. Our memories of childhood holidays have changed because we've changed, we've grown, we've expanded our families. So holidays by themselves change inevitably. Divorce brings its own kind of different change, but that doesn't mean change has to be bad.
Such a good point. Such a good point. And Elise, on that point, can you help us understand how the collaborative process can impact those families who are working through a parenting time schedule during the holidays?
Yes, I think one of the things that really comes up when feelings are heightened, the situation around us is heightened, families have all sorts of expectations, that the point is, heightened feelings, heightened emotions. And there's all sorts of feelings that can come up. Feelings of unfairness, feelings of anger, feelings of resentment. You know, if there's been an affair, that's one piece. There's this feeling of, I didn't want this, so what? I don't want to, you know. The feeling of also being really alone, like things are really going to change. The what ifs, that like one person is feeling so hyper responsible and the other one just sort of backs off. So there's different ways that two parts of the couple deal with the family, and especially around holidays. So one of the things, going forward, and I know Conchetta touched on it, is what do you want the family to look like going forward?
So Conchetta, I think that raises the question then, when the parties' feelings are so heightened and emotions are running high and everyone reacts in different ways, how do you see that manifest itself in the courtroom?
Well, it can be very dangerous actually, because people are not themselves when they're going through a divorce, and sometimes people have seen drastic changes in somebody's personality due to the stress of divorce. So they may not always think as rationally as they should or act the way they normally would act because of the pressure and the absolute heightened emotion, as Elise said. Sometimes they do crazy things where they put their children, I don't want to say physically at risk, but they put them emotionally at risk, because they tend to sometimes use them as leverage to fight the other person that they are angry with or emotionally have this contentious feeling about, their spouse. And they don't realize what they're doing to their child. So, and many times litigation starts with, somebody will seek custody when they have no interest in seeking custody, solely to frighten the other side, damage the other side, and make them cave on other issues that they might not normally cave on because they're afraid of losing their kids. So it can bring out the worst. And again, it's because you're under that umbrella of an adversarial situation, whereas collaborative is very different. It's about peacemaking. It's about the family. It's about finding a creative resolution so that everybody walks away in a better way.
And Elise, on that point, when you're involved in a collaborative case, how do you help the spouses get through those types of emotions and move forward?
It's figuring out what's really important. It's helping to name those emotions, and then to be able to say, what do they really want? And what do they really want for the best of the family, which includes the kids? So instead of using kids as pawns, and I have certainly seen that with clients in litigative processes, is to be able to look at, well, how do we make this work? If we used to go 1 year one way, 1 year the next, how do we keep doing that? Or how do we do a mixture? Or how do we break it up? Or how do we, there's all sorts of different arrangements.
And families sometimes become blended because, like I said, normally things change. The kids grow up, they find significant others. That's a way of families blending. In divorce, something else happens. People move in different directions with their lives. They find a new significant other that may have another family connection. So in one way or another, holidays change and transform over time for everybody. In divorce, it's a little different, but it doesn't have to be bad and it doesn't have to be a disaster. It's a matter of how you can work together to blend how the future is going to look.
Yeah. And it's also knowing that we don't stick to a rigid schedule. It's saying around the holiday time, how do we make it work? And it's helping the couple really work through that and the family work through that. Do you split days? Do you not? Christmas lunch, Christmas dinner. There might be a blending of the whole family. There's all sorts of options that are on the table. It's just finding creative and very transparent ways of coming to a resolution.
I'd just like to add one example.
Sure.
With the COVID situation, somebody that came out of collaborative, they ended up making a blended family unit that they basically quarantined together. How amazing is that? You would never see that out of a litigated divorce. I'm telling you that right now.
Never. I agree with you. I agree with you. Well, does anyone have any final thoughts on this topic?
I think it's just important to people to focus about their family, as difficult as it may be, and how they want it to look years down the road, and how they want their children to see this divorce years down the road. It's a very different perspective to say, how do you want your kids to look back on this experience and say, how did you handle it?
And we offer you the 2 C's. We put the collaborative and the creative together and come up with something which is way better for you and for your family.
Very true.
Very true. Well, thanks for joining me today. And for anyone out there who may be listening and watching, we invite you to visit our website at www.licdp.com. And we invite you to reach out to any of the professionals who are part of our group. We would all be very happy to discuss things further with you and to have the opportunity to work with your families at the holidays or at any time of the year.
Have a great holiday season, everybody.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.